Welcome to Voices in the Back. Over the next few weeks, we'll be having conversations with BIPOC Minnesota artists on the topic of racial issues, and at the end, a performance.
We'd like to thank all our sponsors for their support, including the Minnesota Music Coalition, the Hook and Ladder Theater, Indeed Brewing Company, First Avenue, The Warming House, and The Current, along with funding from the Metropolitan Regional Arts Council that helping us make this series possible.
If you'd like to support us and help keep our series going, please donate to our Give Minnesota page, either on the screen right now or linked below. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter using our handle @VoicesInTheBack.
All right, welcome to Voices in the Back. We are honored to have with us today Taylor Seaberg. Thank you so much for being here. Should we just get into it?
Yeah,
let's just get into it.
Yeah.
Could you start by just introducing yourself, maybe what you do and where you call home?
My name is Taylor Seaberg. I identify as a Kenyan-American artist. My grandfather is from Nairobi. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. I play about 5 or 6 different instruments, including like keys, guitar, flute, bass, drums, kalimba, a bunch of different, hit me up afterwards. But I play in a band called the Black Velvet Punks, which is an all-black jazz punk ensemble, hip-hop jazz punk ensemble that I put together 2.5 years ago with Roderick Glasper in a band called Black Madonna and Travion Dunlap. And I've been super grateful to make music with them because, Hook and Ladder Theater was actually one of the venues that we played a Queen tribute show with Ready Freddie. So I've been gigging so much that I kind of have lost track, but I also love. It's hard. COVID is a hard thing for a lot of artists, for a lot of us, because for a lot of us, it's our lifeblood. It's what keeps our mental health stable and grounded. So I'm kind of figuring out how to navigate without live performance. So. Yeah.
So when we were last speaking, we were talking a little bit about your project, The Art of the Revolution. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and just what inspired you to create that?
Me and my roommates immediately, we were doing a lot of volunteering in North Minneapolis, and a lot of pop-up food drives and things like that. But, we kept saying, what more can we do? What more can we do? And so we ended up being well, let's do what we know best as artists. Let's throw a show. And so we ended up throwing a benefit show, George Floyd and Black Lives Matter memorial concert, and we did it. And the thing is one of my roommates was a Peace Corps volunteer. He got 20 volunteers, and we did a community cookout, and we got a bunch of food donated, and we did a pop-up, donation drive in tandem with Pillsbury House Theater and Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association, and we raised over $1,500, and we had over 10 different Black arts performers perform. And so right after, I had a stint of mental health depression stuff. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to do any curations. I didn't want to get out of bed. Really honestly, I was everything is horrible. This is not a great thing. And then Jacques Elat, he's a French African DJ who's in Douala Soul Collective. He ended up reaching out to me and he went, we need to do something. And it's his positive energy, and he's in his very, we can do this. We can create community. Honestly, he's the one that made me go okay, let's make an album then. Let's take the same artist and maybe invite some new folks, and who didn't perform at the show, and let's do an album together. And so, me and my roommate Josh, Joshua Kep, we put together the schematics of what we're gonna do, and okay, we're gonna do half of the artists. We're gonna, record half of them in our house in our basement where we have a vocal booth and stuff that he had built, from scratch. And then half of it we went to the Tilsner Artist Lofts in downtown St. Paul where Black Dog Coffee and Wine Bar is, and Rob Hagen recorded the other half. And the thing is everybody, there was so many mixing engineers, Holly Hansen from Zoo Animal, and everyone just came together and they just were we're gonna work on this project. And so it was cool, and including the live streamer Rachel Knoll, who had shot she had shot 6 hours of live stream for the concert. And so that's how the album came about. And we recorded 10 Black artists, and we it's been a great experience. I really, really love everyone that is on the project. I love everyone who is at the show, and yeah.
Yeah, I get you on the pandemic and trying to figure out how to manage your mental health, because depression and anxiety, that's what I got, and like it's not easy. Like another thing that like isn't easy, I'm assuming, is like just your experience with being both Black and trans. What is that experience like, being in Minnesota and being in the music scene?
So it's interesting because I like to say, like, there's a social totem pole, right? Like you think about it like through native totems and like totem poles. But I think about the fact that like I would be considered the lowest on the social totem pole. And so in terms of like, I don't like to play Oppression Olympics. I don't like to be like who is benefiting more from things, who is benefiting less from things. But at the same time, I like to acknowledge dynamics. I do. I like to acknowledge like, here's what it looks like when a white man is in a space, like in how his words are received by an audience versus a Black man or what have you. And so I didn't grow up here. I wasn't raised here. My mom was originally from North Minneapolis, and I have a lot of family from North Minneapolis. But I was born abroad. I was born in Germany. In Kusel, I was a military brat, and then I was raised in 5 different countries after that. And when I came to Minnesota in 2011, I was 18, and I remember it being like this is a very different cultural landscape for me, like very different. Like I grew up in a very direct cultural community, like a community that's very like, will tell you how they feel about you to your face, very, and be very intimate with you even, like, kissing on the cheek, very European styles of communication and directness and greeting. And so to come here, it was literally colder. It was colder environmentally, and it was colder culturally. Like it was, breaking into the scene was so difficult initially. And I mean, I like to say like there's one specific show that really helped, me go into the music scene, and that was opening for Chastity Brown's album release show, Silhouette of Sirens, in 2017. Like, if she hadn't have reached out to me on Facebook Messenger and just been like, hey, do you want to play this show? I wouldn't have been introduced to the scene, because it was that show that kind of like made people go, oh, who is this person? Mm-hmm. And so like Blackness for me in Minnesota was really hard, because I was like, I'm such a vocal, direct person that sometimes having to swallow and silence myself, especially when working in nonprofits, has been such a hard disconnect. And I feel like I've often had to choose between like, do I want to excel in this realm, or do I want to like be authentic to my identity? And that's been it's been a hard thing to juggle with ever since I've been living like 22, 21. And then being trans is like an identity that I really, there's actually somebody on the album like Tatiana Hanorf is a Afro Latinx also Black guitarist who is gender non-binary and a Miss Pinky and the Great Fox. And it's really interesting to see them be like, oh yeah, I think I'm gender non-binary. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, a lot of what I grew up with was like, I grew up in an all-male household, and then my mom. And I always had identified as like, yeah, I don't identify with a lot of cis woman things. Like I haven't my entire life. And it was cool because coming to Minnesota, I was like, also, there was like Dua Salah, and there was like all these great artists who were also coming out as being African and being gender non-binary. And I was like, wow, they're paving the pathway for like coming out about this, especially because being African and being trans is such a very it's a very specifically like you have to be really careful about how you do it, because it's a lot of African countries still very homophobic. A lot of African countries still criminalized to be gay openly. So it's.
Do you think expressions of Blackness are also sometimes as limited in the same way that gender expression can be? People are just very binary minded, like it's this or that, right? Do you feel like race can also be kind of boxed in the way that it's expressed or understood?
Definitely. I grew up in a mixed family. All my brothers are half white, half black, and we're all half siblings. They all had white fathers, and then my dad was a black man. My mom was a black woman. And the thing is, because I grew up culturally in both Europe and in America, when my parents divorced, I saw the difference between how we were treated as a mixed family being in Europe versus being in America. And in Europe, it was like a lot of people, even in Paris, you know, there was a lot of African immigrants who had married Parisian women and then like had mixed kids. So a lot of when we were there, they actually spoke to us in French because they were like, "Oh, you're French." Like they were instantly like, "Oh, you were," and we had to tell them like in French, "No, we're not. We're you know, we're not French." But in America, I mean, I remember it was like 1999. You know, as we were in Southern Virginia and we're in like it was either Hampton or Norfolk. I always forget, but I remember distinctly my like little sibling just getting like the angriest glare from a cashier in a restaurant or in a grocery store because they were mixed and they were very noticeably like, you know, green hazel eyes and like red head, blonde hair, but like, you know, looked definitely like both kind of like my mom and my stepdad. And I just remembered seeing like the instant hatred, you know, like the instant hatred of like, we don't like your kind. And the thing is like I've gotten the instant hatred of like we don't like your kind because I'm dark skinned and I'm black. And so I've always had this kind of semblance with my family where I don't understand their pain, but I have seen and witnessed it so long that I've been like, oh yeah, there are critical things that need to change in the black community. And I honestly think that the issue with even race is tied into transness, because even just the fact that there's so many black men who feel threatened by trans women, and they think like trans women threaten their masculinity. Like if I'm attracted to trans women or if I'm whatever, and it's like, you don't understand. No, you know, and so many things are projections like of other people's insecurities that have nothing to do. And it's like one of those things where I'm like, if you believe in black liberation for all black people, you should believe in like accepting black mixed bodies, accepting black trans bodies, accepting all of these bodies because it's all black, you know. And it's very hard because I think sometimes being somebody who's third cultured, like identifies someone who is grown up with a different cultural experience in 3 different, you know, areas of the world, like American, European, Kenyan, you know, it's like I hate how sometimes people get locked into this idea of like, this is what blackness is. And I'm like, no. Blackness is a constantly fluctuating, amazing. That's what makes it amazing. Blackness is a spectrum. It's a lot. There's a lot that comes into blackness and black identity. And so I think it's really limiting when people think that way, like this is what being black is like. But I definitely remember being a kid and being like, I can't speak multiple languages because that's not black, or I can't be intelligent because that's not black. And that being told to me by other black kids, you know, who were told that by white teachers. And it's all a funnel, you know, it's all like a funnel of things, and it's hard, and it's something to deconstruct that has been put onto us by white people, I honestly feel like.
What additions would you make to the Minnesota music scene to make it more inclusive and diverse and just better in general?
I don't think you should ask me this question. I did a photo shoot with Music in Minnesota in front of the Turf Club, and Chris Taylor, he's a great photographer. He ended up shooting my band in front of the Turf Club, and Fox 9 News came and they did an interview, and I tried so hard because they're doing Save the Stages. So they're doing like a campaign for like donate money to all the venues. And honestly, like Hook and Ladder is one of the places that I was like, I really vouch for this place. Management's great, dope. But I have a really complex relationship with venues. Like I think they're run by white men. And I think they're run by like very sus, like, you know, also white men who use their position of power as a booker or as a what have you to also like kind of veto and deny people. And that also is like a power dynamic that is very harmful. There's been some people who are very like, you know, sexually predatory in the music scene who run venues. I mean, I think that's just like, that's like national, you know. I feel like there's many different people I've talked to in different states, different cultures and countries who have been like, yeah, that's a pretty synonymous like reality for a lot of performances. Like we have to, and the music business is often viewed as being this kind of grody business where people have to like figure out ways where they can work their way up to the top, especially women, especially femme-bodied people, like how to do that ethically and be authentic to yourself and your vision of what you want to do, and not be controlled by a label or controlled by anything. And so what I would change is like putting women of color and femme people and queer people and trans people at the forefront of management. Just point blank. Like, if you have management, put one person, put one person of color in there, put one queer person in there. Like, it's like, because I feel like that alone would drastically change so much of the landscape of the venue scene.
What are some artists that you'd want to see on VITB?
Dr. Green, the Daily Tribune for sure. I mean, any of the artists on the album, I really, really like all the artists on the album. Queen Drea is great. Static Panic, which is like a electro funk band that is probably the closest to the semblance of like Prince's sound, the Minneapolis sound that I can think of, which is like this electro funk, like kind of like pop feel. And Ro Lorenzen is also trans black artist. Yeah, so there's a lot of people in the Twin Cities who like are killing it and are doing a lot of music, and I think like it's hard because COVID is like kind of keeping a lot of people dormant, but it's also like there's a lot of great talent in the cities that I feel like should definitely be put on more.
Definitely. And then also, is there anything that you would want to plug? I'm waiting.
I think that's it for me.
Yeah.
Because he talked about the art of the revolution pretty extensively.
Yeah.
I would just say like, if you can, please promote and support those artists, because the fact that during quarantine, during COVID, we were able to like put together this like 10-song compilation album of Twin Cities artists and make it like a mutual aid fund. I think we did end up getting like over $1,500 as well in the fundraiser so far for the album, so we were able to pay out the engineers and stuff like that. But yeah, I like really just want people to support these artists because they mean a lot to me, and I also think like I'm learning that in this time you need to just say I love you to the people who matter most, and like really hang on to those relationships, because you don't really know. Everything's really uncertain right now, so I'm just slowly trying to adapt to everything.
That's it. Thank you so much for being here. It was an honor just to talk with you, and I feel like we could just go on. We could do volume 2.
We're gonna have shots,
part
y'all.
3. Give it up for Taylor Seaberg, yeah.
They're gonna have shots too. The crew is gonna have shots as well. They don't know it yet, but just kidding.
Voices in the Back is proud to present Taylor Seaberg.
I'm emotionless, yeah, there's nothing but scars. I feel it in my soul, nothing left in my heart. Yeah, you wanna tell me how I'm trying to hide. Don't you wanna shut me up? I'm trying to hide, I'm emotionless, there's nothing but scars. I feel it in my soul, nothing left in my heart. Yeah, you wanna tell me how I'm trying to hide. Don't you wanna shut me up? I'm trying to hide. America got no emotions for you. Yeah, we just pity the fool. Neighborhoods buying up tools, and we're afraid of the flu. Man, what the fuck can you do? Colonists once tried to kill us. They said history moves sickly in this vision. Man, I'm just praying that my friends coming with me. Yeah, why you so fucking critical? Man, run it up the elliptical. Yo, politics in my centerfold. Keep running, nigga, you gon' catch a cold. My brother dead in the streets alone. You bring guns to the motherfucking capital. Don't call the cops on your fucking phone. My world is gone, yours is business as usual. nothing but scars. Feeling in my soul, nothing left in my heart. Yeah, you wanna tell me how I'm trying too hard. Don't you wanna shut me up? I'm trying to hide. I'm emotionless, yeah, there's nothing but scars. Feel it in my soul, nothing left in my heart. Yeah, you wanna tell me how I'm trying to hide. Don't you wanna shut me up? I'm trying to hide, to hide. Don't deaf and blind to the bullshit. Don't deaf and blind to the bullshit. Just open your eyes to the realness. This shit is serious. They've created pandemonium. We created pandemonium. They created pandemonium. We created pandemonium. We created pandemonium. Say there's nothing but scars. Feel it in my soul, nothing left in my heart. Yeah, you wanna tell me how I'm trying too hard. Don't you wanna shut me up? I'm trying too hard, too hard. I'm emotionless, there's nothing but scars. Feel it in my soul, nothing left in my heart. Yeah, you wanna tell me how I'm trying to hide. Don't you wanna shut me up? I'm trying too hard, too hard. This is the first song I've done in Spanish. I did it at an SPNN with my roommate Beatriz Lima at the end of October. October 22nd or something. So we have like a full performance that will be broadcast through SPNN. But yeah, she's Portuguese and yeah, she does a verse that's pretty fire. So. Couple bottles filled with sin. Got a Jekyll high that I'm battling within. Trying really hard now not to give in, but I caught a choke smoke with some liters of this gin. I'm trying hard now to catch the Holy Ghost. Got this weed smoke now, killing all you hoes. Now you barely functional, still a walking ghost. No, I can barely breathe. In my berry 6 feet below, and I miss the fucking snow. Wrapped around my heart is cold. My trauma filled with snow, and my heart is wrapped in gold. Buried 6 feet below, heart is wrapped in gold. When we go into battle, you better talk salud. Soy un pecado y te gusta. 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 Me miras con vergüenza y ella quedaron sin palabras. Me miras con vergüenza y ella quedaron sin palabras. I'm not human, I'm just dirty. Am I not human? Am I just dirty? Call us unworthy. Am I just dirty? Call us unworthy. just dirty. Get on your game, don't back down, babe. Even when you act a freak, you act like a lady. But your etiquette is what makes you famous. Do what you want, fuck baby, be shameless. So they say that I'm dangerous. I'm a queer Negro, trying to avoid white entertainment. I'm not a slave, but I'm trapped in this enslaved me. And I'm in a motherfucking cage, man. Comes as no surprise. The people I care for, I run from most. A feverish hand closing round my throat. Anxiety ridden, I'm getting close to losing my line. Where's your light? Where's your hope? Am I human? Am I dirty? Am I human? Am I just dirty? Call us unworthy. Am I just dirty? Call us unworthy. Am I just dirty? Am I not human? Am I just dirty? Am I not human? Am I just dirty?